BitBoy, the cautionary tale. Friends, as we move throughout this bull market, I have to remind you of BitBoy's story. BitBoy was one of the biggest influencers in all of cryptocurrency land. I have made a video of it already, but you got to get a lot of the lessons down packed now, because you're going to start to see the universe is going to bitch slap some people, but not yet. Okay, first it's going to basically charge them up, and then it's going to, yes, eat them up and just spit them out. All right, and I'm talking about big names. You know, it could be Michael Saylor, man. It could be Michael Saylor. You're going to witness firsthand these booms and busts cycles, friends. You're going to realize we humans, we haven't evolved in the past 120 years since we've been tracking this stock market stuff at all. It's still the same emotions. We are caught up by the F word, fear, when we should be caught up by the other F word, friendship. So fear, right? Fear of missing out, buying highs, and then fear of losing everything, selling lows. And then also when you have fear of missing out, it encourages you to do leverage, which becomes dangerous. And then you get this, basically this confidence. Sometimes it turns to arrogance. BitBoy, friends, from $28 million to zero. A cautionary tale. Okay, so BitBoy is obviously one of the biggest influencers in crypto. And yeah, man, this story, friends, you know, there's always the allegations of everything back and forth. But like, I have some lessons for you, and you got to think about these now, okay? Because what ends up happening is you lose a bit of yourself incrementally every week, every month, as you build up in the market. And then, friends, I'll tell you right now, man, it does not matter how smart anyone is. I've already seen this, dude. I will not bother having a conversation with a single person trying to convince them anything else. I don't waste my time, okay? If you don't get it, okay, bro, you'll be a statistic. You might end up on Confessions Direct. I might be covering your story anonymously in the next bear market if I'm bothered doing videos back then, okay? So for everyone else who wants to learn, you're actually seeing it right now. Now, by the way, before we even get through all of these, you remember, you've been here through the bear market of crypto, so you're already pumping it up. And that's some Pumpy G music for you, because you deserve it. So how do you actually avoid this? Well, how do you avoid a lot of this stuff? You think, hey, how do I avoid that fear of missing out? Well, you go turbo long in the bear market. That's actually it. If you looking at OG Somi videos from back in 2022, 2023, that's pretty much what I've been telling everyone all this time. I go, just, you get into crypto, you get aggressive as you can, bang, bang, keep it getting in. Of course, altcoins have had a vicious bear market, but you didn't know that. You did not know that. You got to play this the same way every single time. You did not know it was going to be like that. You get aggressive as much as you can, because what you end up finding out is people who are caught at the tops, right? It's not just that it's greed, you know, because yeah, it's never enough, right? It's never enough. But it's also that, you know, they can't put their head to the pillow and say, I did everything I can. They just can't. And so that's why I wanted to go in and investigate. Hey, why isn't that? And I discovered the answer. And the answer was because they were not going turbo long in the bear market, buying the blood, buying capitulations, sitting through, over-committing, if you will. They were not doing that, because when it finally got to what was euphoria at the top, didn't feel like it was enough at all. And that's how everybody pretty much gets into a world of hurt later on, because that's where you start to pack on the leverage. You start borrowing with other people's money, okay? So this is BitBoy before, during, and after, unfortunately now. So remember, I've got a post, defense. This is like, to think about it, man, from $28 million to like an insane amount of schizophrenic paranoia, pretty much. He messages a judge. Judge Kimberly of Cobb County has ruled against my motion for receivership of Hit Network. This is a decision that she will regret for the rest of her life. The judge put him in jail for 10 days for that. And unfortunately, he didn't learn. So this is also, friends, you got to remember, man, like, the spiral, we all know the spirals, yeah, but the spirals, why do they happen? When you've lost everything, you've just got a little bit left. You've barely got your humanity left, right? Just that little part of your human soul left. So anyone who like takes a bit of your pride out, they just refuse to give it up. All right, you become like total scarcity mindset. All right, and that's why he just couldn't give it up, and he threatened the judge again. He didn't learn from this, right? Then they took it more seriously the next time. That's why he ends up getting put in jail properly, because he threatens the judge. He threatened half of all the police officers and everything out here. So you got to remember, man, you don't just accidentally fluke your way to $28 million in crypto, okay? I want you to know he did the same thing we did. It's just that, you know, he believed in an earlier time, right? So that's how he built his network and everything out here, the BitBoy network. So Remember, this is when you look at Ben, friends, this is what pretty much it used to look like. So this is him actually on Altcoin Daily. Last chance to become a millionaire with crypto in 2021. This is BitBoy.
There's still, because the majority of the action happens in the 8th and 9th inning of the bull run, especially with altcoins.
Let's see his ETH prediction, right?
It's like $4,000 is pretty achievable. And now it's exploded up to 3,500. I mean, I don't know when people are watching this, but as of this morning, it was there. It had a little bit of a pullback. So we don't know, but it looks like $4,000 is pretty achievable for Ethereum, even though Bitcoin's not doing that great. So I'm looking at, by the middle of June, a $5,000 Ethereum. I'm looking at, by the end of August, a $10,000 Ethereum, and I still believe it can get to $27,000. But sometime between how...
See, man, see, friends, this is it. And by the way, like, get every right to say that. That infinite QE money printing back then, okay? It's almost, man, like, is this a different guy? We're looking at it. We all thought that. By the way, like, Ethereum, friends, Ethereum, you got to understand back then. Right now, you're seeing this garbage, like LA Vape Cabal, JPEG token launcher trash, right? And this fake innovation of like, oh, let's put a crypto token with Google Maps, right? They're just seeing. But back then, man, Ethereum just made DeFi. And it went big. You had chaining, you had the DeFi stuff. Man, we had the stable coins. Had so much things happening, man. Gaming, metaverse. I can't believe it never even hit 1 trillion market cap, man. Ethereum couldn't even hit 1 trillion market cap. So you got to think, right? BitBoy's story, right? Even this is kind of funny, right? Even he had these big predictions. He still ended up with that 28 million at the top. Okay, so remember, if you buy, you've already done that hard part. But most of your friends, we've been together. You've been buying and believing, accumulating as much as you can. Obviously, some people have been overextending yourself. But that's a game, right? That's a game. You just don't know how long it's going to last when it comes to these. So you've done that hard work. So when it comes to taking profit, a lot of people are going to get pissed off anyway. But at least you know, you're like, look, man, I gave it 100%. You know you gave it 100%. Okay? Now, the problem always comes when you start to do the margin stuff, the borrowing. Because now you're dealing with other people's money, and it's easy come, easy go. It's fast, right? Fast in, fast out. And when you lose fast out, you have this like realization, like, wait a minute, I just lost a lot of money. You know, that's where the spiral begins, right there. It's always, I lost a lot of money, because you think about your last move. You don't think about, man, remember when it was worth nothing? We thought it was going to zero in November 2022. Maybe you had like $800 in your account. Or 10,000 now, maybe you have $480,000, but you're just gonna be thinking about, oh, I just lost 100K, right? And that's how it always spirals. Sadly, now BitBoy sits in that mental hospital, and we all got to learn the lessons from his story so we can gracefully survive to the next cycle. This is a cute peppy frog. Slow and steady wins the race, friend. So I have just 3 clean things to learn from. Okay, obviously, number 1, don't pile on leverage. And look, friends, I can't be responsible for everyone, because I know what ends up happening, man. Because you just, when someone tells you something you don't want to hear, you literally just stop listening to them. You know, scientists, friends, they've done tests on people. Like, your brain tunes out stuff it doesn't want to hear. Yeah, literally, if someone's saying healthy things for you, you just don't. You're like, nah, even whether it's good or bad, right? I don't want to hear it, right? But what does even piling on leverage mean? What does it actually really mean? I'll be honest, man. It doesn't. It's hard, man. It's really hard. What does it even mean? Because, friends, like, you know, even Vitalik said, "Oh, do a bit of leverage." You know what I mean? These people who come in, they do this stuff like it's, you know, watch what I say, not with what I do. Like, it's just, yeah. But there might be some critical signs where I might have to say, "Hey, man, let's say," because I don't want to put the formula out. There is no formula. Okay, because it can always break you. But you never know. Maybe Coinbase App Store ranking, maybe it becomes rank 15. You know, not rank 1, but like rank 15. Right? And I'm like, that's what I might be saying, hey, man, if you got leverage stuff out here, you got to start paying some of it off. Right? But that's the thing, right? Someone who's responsible, you wouldn't even be in that situation in the first place. And the people who end up going to hurt themselves, what ends up happening is, just so you know yourself, friends, you end up just looking for someone who's going to tell you what you want to hear. Yeah. Literally, it's like a drug addict, friends. Like, literally, because it is actually drug addiction. You want this dopamine hit in your head, right? In your brain. So that's why it ends up, you know, with a drug addict. Like, that's okay. You can have heroin, like, you know, twice a week. Twice a week's not going to kill you. It's not like it's every day. Twice a week's fine. See what I mean? And then twice a week, someone's like, hey, man, you can do it 3 times a week, right? And then the everyday, you find the junkie every day saying, I don't even know how they rationalize it. They're like, hey, at least you're still alive. It means your body likes it. See? I know we laugh at this. It's always like serious. It's laugh. It's dark humor. But this is how you go from 0 to 28 million and leveraging and getting crushed on the way down. By the way, BitBoy, he did do a lot of leverage, friends. He started end up gambling hard. He took like $1 million hits. Then he started doing pump and dump for the altcoins, and then he's down bounce, and then so what ended up happening, his company, right, they tried to do like that takeover and split it. Oh my gosh. So you now know, all right, leverage, but that's why, like, you can't just say, oh, don't do leverage. I don't like, what does that mean? Don't do leverage, bro. Don't do leverage. Like, okay, what's better than leverage? You did the hard work, buying in the depression and committing as much as you can. I mean, look, not financial advice, but, we've all bet more than we can afford to lose for a reason. It's like you're protecting yourself from that fear at the top, right? Friends, I've even hit a point, like, if you see everything booming and beaming, I'm not going to feel in my heart, oh, I've got to do leverage somewhere. It's like, man, we're here 18 hours a day. We've been through literally hell. You know what I mean? At this point, I'm like, whatever, man. Like, okay, if what we've done isn't enough and we have to cheat and take on massive risk for leverage, then screw it, bro. Screw it. Send me to zero then. That's my bravado type of feeling towards it. That's why you actually end up winning like that, okay? So you learn, right? You don't have to do leverage, bro. You believe in stuff, but also you got to do hard work, right? That's why, friends, what you'll find out, man, is like Michael Saylor, turbo leverage long, and all this stuff up here. Like, the market doesn't care, dude. The market doesn't care. Oh, because you're not allowed to go buy altcoins or anything out here. The market does not give one flying truck, bro. You're doing leverage, okay. All right? It means you're borrowing other people's money, and they think they're going to get their money back, and everyone thinks they're all going to get paid, and someone doesn't get paid because something happens, okay? That's how it all spirals. But you're thinking years ahead. You don't want to get to that point. That's why you're not at that point, right? Lesson number 2, right? Take some profits into real estate so you can't easily throw it back in fast. Very common story from all my Coinfessions Rec friends. I've gone through like over 100 Coinfessions Rec stories. And I went through so many of them with you, and I noticed, like, hey, a common pattern, man. People become their own worst enemy because they get a few wins right, and they're like, this guy's a loser. I went and followed some other influencer, like the prostitute cabal, the girl with the big gums. I followed her on Twitch, and I made like a clean 13x. You know what I mean? And then they get big heads, not knowing that was just more than likely just luck and chaos and randomness. And then you learn the hard way, right? So you do avoid a lot of these problems if you have some sort of nest egg. Yeah, taking profits into real estate. Obviously, it's hard. Depends what country you're in. Some of you are from countries, maybe you don't want to touch real estate. Maybe it's too expensive. I don't know. You have to figure something out, okay? But just consider it. Just because it's somewhere to live, you know what I mean? So, I mean, like, the way I think about it, well, if you live somewhere right now, I mean, does it hurt to buy? You don't have to buy a full unit. Maybe just put a deposit, like just something where you kind of live that's just in real estate, man. Just like to protect yourself. Just so you know, in case this thing goes to pooper, right? And by the way, not that you should do this, but like, it's okay because in the next bear market, you could theoretically borrow on it and then buy the next bear market dip. But like, you don't want to get, just be careful of that, right? I'm just saying it is possible. That's what rich people do, right? That's what wealthy people do. They take their money, they buy assets, and then just keep borrowing on the assets over time, So you could do that, I'm just scared of just leverage anything, man, because you know how low crypto and goes in that bear market, right? Even if you're just buying Bitcoin and Ethereum, like, look what it did to us. If Ethereum's the one that cucked us this cycle, what if next cycle's Bitcoin? You know what I mean? So but you don't want to get to that point. It's a lot of people. Yes, a lot of the problems can be solved if after they make money, they're not allowed to use it. They have to wait for like 90 days just to think about it. Just to think about what they do. But they don't actually do that because, there's these memes of words that come out. They go, keep clicking, click, 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 click. Just keep clicking. You're like, yeah, and then you end up getting in a world of hurt. You can also decide what ratio you want, friends. I mean, friends, even the Jews, okay, from the Torah, right? They have that basic financial advice in there. I think it's the Torah, friends. Yeah, I told you they do a third property, a third stocks, what they call it, like a third business, and a third cash. You know, what's wrong with that's okay, you know? It's kind of funny, man. They've got financial advice going back then. And I've been thinking about that a lot. I'm like, man, that's actually a good ratio. That's actually a good ratio. You got a third liquid, you got a third in your business, your stocks, which obviously crypto and stuff and whatever it is, and you got a third in your land. So you can decide. There's no perfect ratio or anything out here. It's whatever you sleep comfortable with, okay? Not financial advice, but just consider something, okay? Because look, as well, here's the thing, friends. In a nice world, I give you all my knowledge and friendship and peanut brain wisdom. Yeah, that's in a nice world. In a realistic world, for every 1,000 views, easily 800 of the 1,000, you just like, you know, maybe you're a dentist, maybe you create squeaky chairs for people out here. Maybe you just clean PC monitors in an office. Whatever you do out there, you just, you know, you don't have all the time in the world, man, because I'm here 18 hours a day. You know what I mean? Friends, I'm here 18 hours a day. There's many things out there I don't know how to do. Like, I don't know how to build a skateboard. I don't know how to repair a Game Boy. There's thousands of things. I'm thinking, man, how does anybody have the time to learn all this? So that's why if you have that real estate thing, you can't hurt yourself. You literally, very hard to hurt yourself. And most importantly, right, lesson number 3, if you don't push your own off button, the market and the universe is going to push it for you when you least expect it, okay? Man, oh man. We could speak for hours just on that alone. If you don't know how to push your own off button. Now, what does pushing your own off button really mean? It means what I've said to you, where like, you know, maybe Coinbase App Store ranking's not number 1. Maybe it's like rank 15. Maybe you've taken some leverage. Maybe you've got some credit card loans, whatever it is. You can sell something. Just start. Just make some ground to pay off a bit of your debt. Just start pushing that off button. That's it. Okay. Also, just to let you know, one of the biggest reasons why people end up wrecked in crypto bear markets is, so when alt season happens and the bull market stuff, it's like, you know, you pull down the lever on the slot machine and it's like raining coins. Well, instead of people taking the money, sending it to a bank account, paying taxes and leaving it, instead of that's the right thing to do, tick, 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 for the average person. Instead of doing that, what they do is people take the money and then they keep rolling again. Okay, they keep rolling into another altcoin. They keep rolling and rolling and rolling, rolling. So you think about psychologically, why does that happen? Mostly it's two reasons, right? One, the thing that they made money in, they didn't even know was really going to pay out. That's why it's like they've paid out, but it's not enough, right? They're like, oh, I've paid it, now I'm going to keep playing. So then I've reverse engineered it. And I thought, well, if you had a thesis for that coin, you would have more size. So when it did pay out, you wouldn't feel the need to go and rotate your poop to other poopy coins. Do you get it? So for example, if you really believed in a coin, yeah, these people have like, you know, 1 week of wages in it. Maybe they have like, oh, whatever it is, like $500 into something. But if they believed in a thesis, growing network effects, maybe it's a deep value contrarian, and you did the hard work, maybe you wouldn't have 1 week of wage in. Maybe you'd have like 6 months in. Yeah. So if you made like a 20x on 6 months of living expenses invested in, that's 0.5 years, you would end up with 10 years of income. You're not going to roll that all into another altcoin. Hopefully, obviously, you know what I mean? You're going to think twice about it, right? But someone who put 1 week in, they're like, oh, now I've got like 3 months of income. Let me go roll that in, right? And they're just playing around, you know? But it all came from the entry. That's what I learned. What I learned was in crypto and in this investing, the bigger the believer and the earlier you were, the higher your odds of winning. Because there's a higher chance you became satisfied with what you were doing. Whereas everyone else coming in with like, they started with less clip, because that's what happens, friends. Everyone comes into crypto, go, oh, everyone here's making a lot of money. And you'll hear about the moonshot. And they're like, oh, I put in $500. That's all I put in, you know, which maybe in some country, whatever, half a week's wages, wherever it is. And I made like a 40x. They'll hear about that. So people start with a small amount. Then they see how hard it is after a while, and then they meet someone and they're like, oh, $500. They go, yeah, man, I had to put in like 40 grand. They'll hear something like that. Like, whoa, you've put in that much money into crypto? And then, but they're learning this over time and they've joined at the bull market. So it's like the clock's running down already, right? It's not like they're not learning this in the bear market. They're learning this as everything's going up. And then you're running out of time. The days are ticking by and it's happening so fast, right? And you don't know how fast it's going, right? So it all comes down to that entry, right? Because they weren't allocated enough. They didn't believe enough. But also crypto is hard enough. Like, what do you believe in, right? I mean, look, altcoins get decimated against Bitcoin, right? So it's easier said than done. But that's what I found out, you know? So, and it is a big risk. Everyone laughs at you. They go, oh, wait. Because they see it like, that people just see it differently. They say, oh, crypto is working. It's going up. The prices are going up. You should be buying more into it when you actually got to be doing the opposite. That's obviously, you know that by now, yeah? So remember, I told you there was like two things, right? So the biggest, most primary reason why people just get into that trap is their entry commitment at the start, it was too small, you know? So they didn't feel anything. So they didn't do the homework and research. So that's pretty much what it was, right? And obviously the next one, what people do is changing coins too much, which, does anybody still do that? I asked that question, and yeah, people still do that, friends. They still do that. Like, I have a post here from ages ago. Look at this. Look, from Brandon here. This is from another YouTube channel. Actually, I think I got this from Altcoin Daily. I think it was. Bro, I've rotated through 12 altcoins in 3 months, and I'm still red. I'm chasing narratives like it's 2021, and every pump rugs. I just want someone to literally tell me what the F to do. I'm sick of playing influencer roulette. Is there even one trader who does one-on-one stuff not behind a paywall? I saw it and I'm thinking, oh, is that something? Because I'm like, people still like this still exists. I'm like, wait, that's everyone, man. It's just that we've come so far. You've come so far watching my highest value content in crypto. You're like beyond this, you know? So look, just so many errors. Like 12 coins in 3 months, but 3 months, bro. What do you mean 3 months? You know what I mean? Like, we're still holding stuff after 3 years haven't got started. But that's it because of the business cycle. That's why I showed you all these underpinnings and what's going on. So you got to commit to one thing, man. But then obviously move on to the next question, right? Okay, but what do you commit to? There's thousands of coins. Well, we don't know, man. I'm telling you, well, memes, cults, religions is a nice archetype. You need a community to ride behind, and they have to show you that the community is alive. That's why, like, for example, Pulse Chain, even though the whole community, crypto industry said it was dead, I'm saying, no, it's showing signs it's alive. Yeah, but there's so many coins, man. There's so many coins. Everyone's got coins and chains. You know, I love it. Like, there's heaps of them, heaps of them. I'm just using Pulse Chain's the most obvious one, man. It's the most obvious one. Like they have freaking conferences, bro. Everyone said it's dead. They have conferences out. You know what I mean? It's like the biggest dichotomy, the biggest like contrast of what was going on. And, you know, he's like saying, I just want someone to tell me what to do. I'm sick of playing influencer roulette. Yeah, it really does feel like that. So, like, I don't tell you what to buy. Not financial advice anyway, because I don't freaking know, bro, because things move in time and differently. I just tell people what I do, okay? I'm buying and holding. And yeah, the business cycle kept going down and down and down and then down, but I didn't sell. Okay, I even got more aggressive over time. We've lost our minds, but that's what's happening. Yeah. So with markets as well, the thing is, you can't rewind time. When we're at the top and everyone's made it, you can't then decide, oh, I'm gonna follow that person. It's over, bro. It's literally over. It's too late now. You got to wait another 4 years. Yeah. So that's the punt. You know, that's why everyone's on this journey. It's like this pilgrimage together, you know, like we believe we're going to make it, you know, and everyone's like we know. I've already told you, friends, as well. The Twitter followers and the YouTube follower account, it just goes parabolic as the price goes up. And I'm thinking, what? This is a tragedy of the commons. Like, people only notice you after you win. Okay, that's when they notice. That's what happens, because as you're winning, it's a signal. It's a price signal out there. When like it's just. It's a tragedy, because you should be looking at all the signals of the heartbeats when everyone says everything is dead. That's why we're looking for asymmetric upside, right? And so it begins a whole new cycle all over again. But you know, that's pretty much how everything comes out. And yeah, there will be moments of time where the crowd will be cheering higher, higher. We're still going up. I'm not going to be fighting them. I'm not going to be fighting them at all. We saw what happened in 2021. Like, that's That's the game, right? And then you're going to have a purge of 80% of them, 20% remain, and so begins the next cycle, okay? So they're going to have to learn it when we get there as well. So now you know, friends, you're not going to be rotating and stuff out here. Yeah, man. There's many ways to skin this cat, okay? But ultimately, the people who make it to the end, it's clean, okay? You bet more than you can afford to lose in the bear market. You're willing to wait forever. You're buying when it's pessimistic. And you're holding when it's pessimistic. Okay? And then you're selling when everyone's optimistic. You're playing the whole cycle. Okay? So we're waiting for that moment. The tale of BitBoy, right? So you now know, friends, all these lessons jam-packed here for you. Like, subscribe, catch you soon.